In this video, we're going to review the LineBore X instruction from the EnVision ToolBox. Firstly, we're going to select a new blank row where we'd like to insert the LineBore X instruction. We're going to go to the toolbox under the drilling section and select LineDrill X. EnVision will automatically add the instruction into the template. Any field that has a gray fill must be edited by the customer. The first is the face you'd like to do the machining on. In this case, we're going to machine on the top face of the component. The next field is the start position in X for the line boring instruction. This X start position is going to be the center of the first hole the machine drills. In this case, we're going to simply place 2. Next is our Y start. Again, this will be the center of the hole in the Y, and here we're just going to place 2 as well. Next is the X end position. We're simply going to have it go towards the end of the cabinet minus 2 inches. Now, a thing to note is that the X end position is not necessarily the center point of the final hole in the line boring X instruction. This is due to the spacing and the distance between the X start and the X end. The two may not be equivalent, and therefore the final hole may rest slightly before the X end. We're simply telling the machine where to stop line boring. The next is the Y end position. This cell has 2 functions. The first is a single line bore in X will be placed if the Y end equals the Y start. In this case, 2. Now, if the Y end is different than the Y start, there will be 2 rows of line boring placed onto the component. In this case, I'm just going to say equals the depth minus 2. Now I should have a line bore in X starting at 2, ending at 33.25, and starting at Y2. Then I'll have another line bore row from 2 to 33.25 at 22 in the Y. Next is my diameter. The diameter here must be in imperial units, so equals, I'm going to do 5 millimeter holes. The depth, remember depth must always be negative to drill into the material. Next is the spacing in millimeters between all of the line boring. I'm going to leave this as 32. In this case, the spacing can be any value the user wants to define, but remember, all of the drill spindles are always set on 32 millimeter centers. Therefore, in order to fully utilize and optimize your drill bits when machining, it's best to leave the spacing in some increment of 32, i.e. this could be 32, 64, 128, etc. Next is the drilling cycle. Because I'm simply going to be using a standard brad point, I'm just going to leave this as a drilling cycle 10. Now we'll save this, run it, and take a look at the output. As we can see by clicking on the image, I have a line bore in X and a second line bore in X. This would be the depth minus 2. This would be 2 as my Y.